Welcome back to Nick Lenz's Comic Corner, classic slash non-classic. This is episode number 506 and Doubleshot number 417. Two Batman trades, both which I own. One I purchased from Barnes Noble, the other one I got as a gift from Mass Panther. First up is the book I got from Barnes Noble, Batman Dark Victory. Written by Jeff Loeb and artwork by Tim Sale. This trade collects the entire 14-issue limited series. 14 issues, I'd say, even though it's issues 0 through 13. But it's a 14-issue comic. It's long, but it's really good. Now, some critic reception I read for this thing is a bit bizarre. Like, oh, they found this thing with bit disappointment. With this particular book, basically, Loeb is basically just killing off a bunch of people who were basically in year one. Carmine Falcone already died in the previous book, basically, Long Halloween. In this one, they killed off Arnold Flass, who was basically Gordon's who was Gordon's partner during that particular story. Brandon, who was in charge of SWAT. Gillian Loeb, the former commissioner, the one who was basically not exactly Gordon's immediate predecessor. There was one who briefly replaced him. I think his name was Michael something. I think it's some other guy, and apparently he was a lot more corrupt than Loeb was. Yeah, Gillian Loeb, and no, it's no relation to Jeff Loeb. Let's see. They also introduced a new DA, Janice Porter, because Will Harvey that became Two-Face in the previous series, and of course, like you see in the cover, it's the first chronological appearance post-Flashpoint of Robin. And of course, this is also one of two stories that do this. The other, of course, is a series called Robin Year One, which kind of takes place toward the end of this thing. Kind of picks up like a little bit after this one, but that one's done by Chuck Dixon. And excuse me, I don't remember who actually did the artwork on that one, but it was a really good series. And one thing I love about this series is that Batman faces a bunch of his villains. You have Joker, Penguin, Riddler, Mr. Freeze, Solomon Grundy, who's actually not a Batman villain, despite the fact some people think he is, even though that he actually isn't. He's actually Alan Scott Green Lantern villain. Let's see. It's like you're throwing almost everybody except for Clayface. They threw in Poison Ivy. Catwoman shows up here in a purple costume. There's at one point she disappears for, they say she disappeared for 6 months. Well, actually, there is an explanation of where she disappeared off to. There is a miniseries which I think I've done a review for. It's Catwoman When in Rome. It's a 6-issue limited series done by, of course, by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. What kind of explores the backstory. And at the end of this miniseries, in this limited series, it's revealed that it's implied that Selena Kyle is the illegitimate daughter of Carmine Falcone. Yeah. And of course, they also bring in Chief O'Hara. Yes, some people who are familiar with Batman's 6th TV show, yeah, Chief O'Hara is in here, though he's an old man. I want to show you what the guy looks like. Like, I was so surprised to see this guy. Like, he's nothing like the way he is on the TV show. No, he looks completely different. Also, this is how Tim Sale draws Catwoman. Here's a good close-up of her face. Yeah, that is how he draws Catwoman. Yep, that's how he does it. And he draws Two-Face really well. For his, yeah, even though this is kind of gross, but yeah, that's basically Two-Face. Yep. And here's Solomon Grundy. Yep, this right here, that is Solomon Grundy. He draws, I think probably of all the villains, he draws Solomon Grundy the best. Let's see. Let's see, I want to show him off here. I know he's in here. Oh, look, here's Ivy. I am not really sure why in the world Tim Sale draws her with this, have her hair be a bunch of leaves. I'm like, okay, I love the attire, and I love the fact she's got green skin. That's fine, but why make her hair a bush? It makes no sense at all for her to be like that. Yeah, here we go. Here's Chief O'Hara. Yep, this guy with the mustache, white mustache, that's Chief O'Hara. Apparently he's basically he works immediately under uh, um, Gordon. Also, yeah, this is Riddler. Yeah, I'm not sure why this is. For some reason, he likes drawing the Riddler to be really short. I am not kidding about this. Oh, this is how he draws Batman. Yep, that's Batman. Batman looks awesome in here. Yeah, he draws them really well. Uh huh. Oh, if you're wondering who, now this guy I'm going to show you in a minute. This guy was actually Commissioner Gillian Loeb. This is Gillian Loeb. This older guy with a big pudgy face. Yeah, it's like that. You get a pretty good idea of how Keith Claus Johnson, who basically originally drew him. But yeah, that's how he drew him. Hmm. Yeah, there's many people who are killed off like crazy in here. All of them via hangman style. Hmm. And look, this is how he draws the Scarecrow. And for some reason, he likes to have him rhyme. Yeah, I heard someone point out basically he loves having him rhyme. I do not know why. He just does. Let's see. Let's see. I know there's more Batman villains in here. I know Joker's in here. I saw him in here when I was reading this. Let's see if I can find him here. Oh, this is Janice Porter, the DA who replaced Harvey Dent when he became Two Face. Yep, she's the one who replaced him. Me personally, I don't have a problem with a female DA in the story. It's actually really brilliant stroke of genius right there. Yep. Let's see here. Oh, this is Calendar Man on this cover. Yep, that is Calendar Man. Yeah, he was actually, even though he was basically just a red herring in the original series, being the Holiday Killer. Yeah, it's actually really great the fact that he has him in here. There's no shadow here, Mr. Freeze. I want to get a good pitch. I want to show off a good picture, Mr. Freeze. Let's see here. Here we go. Here's the Joker under Tim Sale. Yeah, for some reason he likes John with big teeth. It's so bizarre to say the least. Yeah, I know you have to pause and take a quick look at. But yeah, I'm doing my best when it comes to this. Let's see here. Oh yeah, and Tony Zuko's in here as well. Yep, Tony Zuko, um the man who killed Dick Grayson's parents. Yeah, he's in here as well. Hmm. This is wonderful black and white sequence. Basically, I gotta show this off here. This is basically Tim Sale doing black and white. It's really, really good. If you ever did a black and white comic, it would turn out really good. Basically, whoever's colorist is, basically, this guy should get basically an award for how good he draws black and white. Let's see here. There we go. This is Mr. Freeze under Tim Sale. Yep, that guy there, that is Mr. Freeze. Hmm. Let's see. No Killer Croc doesn't show up in here, but yeah. We also have the Mad Hatter. Yep, this guy here, that's the Mad Hatter. That's how Tim Sale draws him. It's a good depiction of the Mad Hatter. You know what I know it's him? The hat. Yep, the hat. Oh, and in case you're wondering, the second Mad Hatter had a gimmick of stealing hats. That was basically his gimmick. No idea why, just that he was. But yeah, this is one really amazing series. I highly recommend it. I mean, yeah, Jeff Loeb is not exactly a popular person nowadays, but his work still holds up today. And this work only came out just, let's see, how long ago this come out? This came out back in 1999. This series is almost 20 years old, and the story is still good. Despite the fact this is not really canon to the current continuity, but Who cares? It's a really damn good story. Uh, the whole mystery of who the Hangman is. I'm not going to reveal exactly who the Hangman is. You got basically gotta read this mini. You gotta read this limited series, basically who it is. It's somebody no one actually expected to be the Hangman, but yeah. But by the end of the series, the Carmine Falcone family is basically virtually destroyed. Sal Mariani basically in the previous series got killed off by Two Face. Now in Long Halloween, he had like two deaths. This one, he had almost every issue except for one, actually except for two issues. We had the character die. Almost all of them except for one were killed by the Hangman. I'm trying to remember. Uh, there was one killed by Two Face of all people. Yeah, Two Face killed the DA. Oh yeah, and I'm gonna spoil this. Two Face was sleeping with the DA. Not kidding, he was. Um, yeah. So really great series. Highly recommend it. I give this book a 10 out of 10. It's a really, really good book. And here's another really good book. Batman celebrating 75 years. Yep. The cover is done by the co-publisher of DC Comics, Jim Lee. Yeah. Also, for some reason, Wikipedia, this is basically the image you always see of Batman. No idea why. It's just that. Well, that's just basically what it is. Now, this book contains Detective Comics number, excuse me, from the first five in the series, 27, 33, 83, 211, 216, 327, 359, 395, 442, 474, 574, 663, 711, 757, and 821. And of course, Batman from the first five of the series, number 149, 181, 497, and 608. World's Finest Comics, number 94, basically the Batman story. Detective Comics special, DC Special Series number 21, Batman Special number 1, and of course Batman Volume 2 number 2, and Detective Comics Volume 2 number 27. Yep, and the stories in here are basically by various different artists. The first couple stories in here are done by Bill Finger, Bob Kane. Bob Kane also inking for the second story. Detective Comics 83 is written by Dick Cameron with artwork by Jack Burney. Bill Finger does issue 49 Batman with Bob Kane on Bob Kane and Lou Laris Schwartz on the artwork. Edmund Hamilton does Edward Hamilton. Dick Spring does Detective Comics 211. These two guys also do Detective Comics 216 and World's Finest 294. Detective Comics 327 is done by John Broome and Carmine Infantino. Yeah, these two guys also worked on The Flash. Carmine Infantino is famous for creating Reverse Flash and several Flash villains. Yeah, look it up. He created a lot of them. 181, which is the first appearance of Poison Ivy. Yep, 181's first appearance of Poison Ivy, written by Bob Kniger and Sheldon Meldorf. Yep. Detective Comics 359 is done by the ever awesome Gardner Fox, guy who created a lot of known DC characters. I would say of the known DC characters around today, he probably created a good 50% of them. Yeah, and that one basically is the debut of the most best known Batgirl, Barbara Gordon, with Carmine Infantino in the artwork. Detective Comics 395 is written by Daniel Neal with Neil Adams both on the interior and exterior artwork. Detective Comics 442 is done by Archie Goodwin with Alex Stone on the interior artwork and the cover by the late Jim Aparo. 395 is also noteworthy, I think, for the debut of Talia al Ghul, I believe it is. No, I think it was. I'm not really sure. Detective Comics 474 is done by Steve Eichelhart and Marshall Rogers. This is the second official appearance of Deadshot. No, it's not the first appearance, despite what DC tries to think it is, because the original story Deadshot made his debut is really bad. If anybody ever gets a chance to find this story, find it. The artwork is atrociously bad, and the story is just plain awful. Yeah, basically Deadshot in his debut appearance he basically dressed up as a Western gunslinger and he wore a domino mask. Yeah, that was freaking Deadshot. It's on Wikipedia. DC Special Series number 21, written by Danny O'Neill, and this is a fun factoid. This particular story was the first piece of work that Frank Miller ever drew. Yeah, this was his first one. Let me show it off here. This is basically this is like the very first story that Frank Miller ever drew. Let's see, 179. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find it here. Yeah, here it is. This this is Frank Miller's art style from almost 40 years ago. Yeah, basically 38 years ago. This is Frank Miller artwork. Yep, and this is by far his first story. If I make Frank Miller, I'm having him sign this. Yep. Let's see. The Batman Special is done by Mike W. Burr and artwork by Michael Golden. Teta Comics 574 is done by Mike Burr and Alan Davis. 663 is done by Peter Mulligan. And Tom Mandrake. Tom Mandrake has drawn a lot of Batman stories over the years. The last known one he did was he did 4 issues of Batman with John Ostrander, basically a guy he frequently worked with on Martian Manhunter and the Spectre. Awesome artist. I highly recommend checking out The Spectre by John Ostrander. Basically, his run for that book and Martian Manhunter are both in trades right now. They're getting close to pretty much wrapping them up. Doug Moak does Batman 497. This is an infamous issue, of course, with Jim O'Hara on the interior artwork with Kelly Jones on the cover art. This is the issue where Bane broke Batman's back. Yep, it's a key issue from Nightfall. Teta Comics 711. Yeah, that's really the number for this one. This one's done by the creator, 2 of the 3 creators for Bane, Chuck Dixon on the writing and Graham Nolan on the artwork. Currently, these 2 guys do Bane Conquest. Graham Nolan also has the exterior artwork for this issue. Teta Comics 757 is written by Greg Rucka and artwork by Rick Birchson. The beautiful, basically 821, which is a great issue, by the way, by the ever awesome Paul Dini, who actually did some work recently doing a backup story for Harley Quinn with artwork by J.H. Williams III. Awesome artist. I highly recommend checking out Tales of J.H. Williams III. Check out also his run he did for Batwoman. Basically, I think it's in the first 4 or 5 trades that collected from the previous one for the series. And also Batwoman by Greg Rucka and J.H. Williams III. That's a new trade that just came out recently. Of course, Sky Greg Capullo does Batman Volume 2 number 2. And the final issue is done by, in here, just reimagining a Crazy Conversation, done by Brad Militzer and Chip Kidd. This one basically is not the story that was printed in the issue. Well, the artwork is. Yeah, they changed the artwork in here. I do not know exactly the reason why. Yeah, they just used the same artwork from that story, and they inserted the dialogue that Brad Militzer did in the actual story. Yep, it's the original Bob Kane artwork, but with Brad Militzer's dialogue. Yeah, they replaced a lot of dialogue in here. And plus also, they kind of blew up the pages. I have no idea why they did this, but they did. Yeah. Aside from that, every single story in this book is fantastic. Seeing also, if you get this book, if you want to get the debut of characters like Poison Ivy, Batgirl, of course, Batman himself. Yeah, a lot of really good key issues in here. Yeah. So, all the issues in here are good. Every single one. None of them are bad. All good classic stories. Of course, the latest story is not exactly known classic stories. Though in the case of issue number 2, I think this one's in here because this is the first appearance of Dick Grayson's great-grandfather. I think his name is William Cobb. Yeah, this comic here is the first appearance of the character, which this is part of the awesome Court of Owls story, which spanned the first 11 issues of Scott Snyder's run for Batman. Yep. And of course the reimagining. So I actually have read the story. It's a really good retelling. It's actually longer than the original story. The original story is only about 7 pages, and the reimagining is about 20 pages long. Yeah. Want to give this book a good rating? I'm going to give this a 10 out of 10. It's really good. I highly recommend it. Now, for a 75, basically this came out just 2 years ago, because that's when Batman celebrated 75 years. Now, The cover price of this thing is $40. So, um, I recommend getting this at. My friend of mine can probably get this for me as a discount. So yeah, but it's great to have, and he knows I'm a big Batman fan, so that's the reason why he sent this to me. So yeah, if I meet Danny O'Neill, I'm having to sign this trade. Yep. So 10 out of 10. All right, that's it for this episode. Stay tuned for episode. I think it's 507 next, correct? Um, yeah, it's 507 and Doubleshot number 418. Okay. But I'll see you on the next episode. Bye.